deity, right? You create this universe and you're bored. What is it that you seek out? What is the experiment that you run? You seek out waveforms of chaos that might achieve you that surprise that you didn't expect. That is the seeking out of novelty. Well, within every human being, apparently, there is this little spark that allows us this mechanism to actually control reality around us. These things have been hidden from the public for eons of time by people who have evil intentions through the use of this mechanism. The mechanism is neither good nor bad. It's neither evil nor holy. It is simply exist within our materium, and it exists in such a way that human biology can take advantage of it. That's the great secret. And how do you achieve bypassing or crossing the liminal threshold? How do you manifest an event in your event stream? Well, there are two ways, as they are taught in the ancient mystery schools. And as Crowley once put it, you can inflame yourself with prayer. In other words, you can work yourself up into an absolute frenzied state to where there is a seizing of all conscious thought. It is in that state that you can have communication to your subconscious mind through the liminal threshold. The other way, as it is described, is becoming still like a glassy lake. Completely, utterly, totally still. This would include any and all forms of yoga and mental meditation. They all are designed in order to achieve a singular end. That singular end is communication across the liminal threshold to the subconscious mind. Why would you want to achieve that? Because the subconscious mind has the ability to bend unfolding probability to will. I'll say that again. The subconscious mind has the ability to bend unfolding probability to will. Now, there's been a lot of historic groups, and there's some in power even today, that utilize things that are called predictive programming. In an end, all of that is an attempt to control the mental thoughts and processes of the population as a total in order to control the event stream. That's all they're trying to do. They are utilizing things like Hollywood and imagery and the music industry, etc., to control consciousness within a very narrow band so that they can actually predict and control events in the event stream. And they call that controlling the collective subconscious or achieving the great work. The entire Illuminati is based around that idea. The Natanier, or navigator, as they refer to them in the global cabal, which actually utilizes all of these secrets, is the person that chooses the kind of imagery that gets propagated worldwide. Now, it's fascinating because all of this ties into all kinds of ancient occult history and intrigue. There have been a number of historical figures, and I'll put this disclaimer out there. It's not my intention to insult any belief system or religion whatsoever. In fact, all the religions seem to encompass within them the same secret. It's just been obscured by the people that are in power of those religions because they want to have that ability and not the masses. So how do these groups go about it? Well, there was a man named Donald Michael Craig who once came up with an equation that has since been proven true. And that equation is a way of calculating how much or how many participants of a given psychic ability it takes in order to achieve a kind of change in reality. In other words, the more participants targeting an unfolding probability, the higher it is that that probability will unfold to their will. That's why you want to control millions and millions of people's minds with the imagery that you're feeding them, because they will slowly, it will sink down over time past the collective subconscious liminal threshold into humanity's consciousness, and it will become manifest in our collective event stream. Now, the same mechanism can be achieved on an individual basis. That's the great secret. And that's the secret they wrote in the book called The Secret. You know, I mentioned that there were several individuals throughout history who have achieved this ability. And most of them are figures around which religions were later formed because of their ability to use this mechanism. Let's take, for example, and not to offend anybody, but let's take, for example, the historical figure of Jesus. Well, let's look at the early origins, right? Who comes to the birth of Jesus that was underneath a sacred star alignment? It was the Magi of Persia. Don't let them tell you it was the three kings or the three wise men. It doesn't say that. It says it was the Magi of Persia who came. The Magi of Persia is where the word magic comes from. It was the Magi of Persia who actually held a star prophecy that their king would be born under a star alignment. It wasn't the Hebrew people who had that prophecy at all. In other words, this group of magicians from Persia followed a sacred star alignment that they were aware of, and underneath it was born to them their king, right? There's a reason why at the age of 13, Jesus disappears for a 20-year period. Check it out. Gone. Not a word. Disappears from the age of 13 to the age of 33. Guess how long it takes a Magi of Persia to train fully? You guessed it, 20 years. What a coincidence, right? And all of a sudden he shows back up, and this is something Crowley points out, after having spent a prolonged amount of time in the desert doing what? Meditating. Very specific meditational practices, which are taught in these groups. And then all of a sudden, this individual has the ability to almost manipulate reality at will. That's a heightened psionic ability. It is quite possible that there are people born into the human species who have an ability to bypass the liminal threshold much, much more easily than other people. It's around these people that you begin to see actual miracles performed. And there's various individuals all through history this has occurred to. In fact, Buddha was seen a number of times walking up to a river, raging river. He would dematerialize on one side of the river and rematerialize on the other side. There's historical accounts of that. So this isn't limited to any one religious figure. What ends up happening is those who witness those events end up deifying that individual because of their inability to achieve the same mechanism. They think, oh my God, I must be a god. No, all humans have these abilities. Some of them just have them to a heightened degree. There's a reason why we have pro athletes too. Doesn't mean you don't play tennis on the weekend, you know? So here we are with this craft on its way. And there's every indication coming out of the WebBot that we as a species interacting with the universal event stream have somehow manifested this into our reality. What sort of changes is that craft, is that life form going to bring with it? Because as Cliff High put it this week, examining information out of the WebBot, there is absolutely no indication that this thing is a natural stellar body. No indication. You have to stretch the laws of all kinds of astrophysics to explain how and why this thing is on the trajectory and speed it's on out of absolutely nowhere. They're estimating, and if their estimations are correct, that this craft has been traveling for 8,000 years past the Oort cloud on a direct path to the Earth. And if that's the case, and if there are life forms on board, those life forms will be aware of the event stream. They will be aware of the ontological nature of the universe in ways that we can't even imagine. They will have knowledge about how all of this works, how the actual universe, fabric of the universe may have been created. They may be able to verify our ideas of a holographic universe, of a program being run with all of us inside of it. They may be able to, in fact, explain to us in such a way the real, true nature of the universe that we come to a point that the WebBot describes as a singularity of understanding. And all of this is tied to time. All of this is tied to our understanding of Cartesian time, which is really sort of a prison constructed for the human species. Time is not what we think it is. And the WebBot is saying that there is this big change coming in our understanding of time, and it coincides with the arrival of this craft. Might we then surmise that it's because information is able to be extracted out of this life form? That's one of the questions that Cliff High put to the WebBot this week. By which means will the powers that be extract information from this life form in such a way that it creates the singularity? And there again, it came up with all kinds of indications about time. So this mechanism, this reality hack, this way of actually controlling your reality, your event stream, and your life, it has to follow certain laws. And the biggest law that governs this entire mechanism is what these groups refer to as lust of result. A lot of people out there can do what the book The Secret says, and they can sort of harmonize themselves with the universe and with reality, and they can manifest a new Mercedes-Benz in their driveway, right? And a lot of people can't. And the difference between the ones that can and the ones that can't is this lust of result. Think about it this way. This mechanism works like electricity. It follows a path of least resistance. Whenever you begin to consciously lust after a result of some kind, you are bypassing the effect altogether. You are grounding that electricity so that it cannot flow. Imagine being able to live an existence in a sort of meditative state where you go about your daily processes, these techniques of achieving, bypassing the liminal threshold without ever having a lust of result for the end result of what you're doing. Because it's those people that are the true magicians of our reality. It's those people who can act in a ritualized fashion without a lust of result, who achieve the ability to bend reality to will. I should do a TED Talk. And you won't hear any of this on any other radio show or podcast in the world, because this is specialized knowledge and information that came to me by way of actual groups out there in the world practicing these techniques. It's the whole reason I wrote the book I wrote, because I realized that what they were guarding, this occult secret that all these groups were guarding, was a secret that could be utilized as the absolute ultimate weapon by humanity in order to win its freedom from what appears to be a predatory non-human intelligence. I'll say that again. I wrote the book American Sorcerer, detailing how and why all of these techniques work so that people could begin to utilize them. People in the human species collectively, so that we could begin to target paranormal phenomenon and alien phenomenon in such a way that we can bend reality and change the outcome of what might be a very dark future for our species. And what's even more is I believe that these secrets were left to us by none other than the Anunnaki. And it was the Anunnaki who biologically changed our species to be able to have this mechanism. It was because Enki and Nenkarsag, his wife, and Enki was one of the two Anunnaki princes, but Nenkarsag was a genetic scientist. And Nenkarsag altered human biology, the human genome. She took out the 22nd chromosome. And when she did, that brought all hell down upon Enki and her and their group of followers. But what it did was it allowed humans psychic ability. And they did it knowing that over time, it could very well win us our freedom. That's interesting, right? Because there's every indication that Enki and Nenkarsag went down with the ship. Every indication that they and their followers were pro-human at a time when the rest of the High Council that were governing the Anunnaki wanted a total obliteration of humanity off the planet. And instead, they gave them the biological keys to their freedom. They paid the ultimate price for that. They were cast down on the earth for the rest of their days, forever marooned on a planet in a never-ending sea of darkness. Imagine that you were marooned on a desert island somewhere without any sort of technology, no medical supplies, no food. What would you do? What could you do? Because that's the scenario that were left to the rebel Anunnaki when they began to teach us these very secrets. And then they went around and they built monuments out of pure stone that we can't even duplicate to this day. Then within those monuments, they hid, mathematically encoded within them, the exact secret I'm talking to you right now about. They slowly died off one by one, but not before they formed the world's great mystery schools to encapsulate these secrets and to carry them forward for a time such as this. For a time when humanity needs to awaken, needs to begin to utilize these abilities and these secrets to ensure a future of freedom for our species. And that's my show for tonight, guys. You'll have to join us next week, Wednesday night, 7 p.m. Central. And come by paraintelagency.com. We also have a live feed to that show and other great DREAGUS productions. Come to paranormal-experts.com if you need to talk to a paranormal expert. And if you are looking to transform your space into art, well, help support the show by buying something off of the art shop. There's 40 products on there, all kinds of cool stuff. You can even get shower curtains. So I'll see you guys next week.
Great show, Jack. Great show. Thanks.
Cool. Oh, cheeseburger time.
Yep. I'm going to take in, when your deal ends, I'm going to take in, get Nancy up and rolling because it looks like she's there.
Cool. Very cool. I was able to hook up my new Redbubble sound.
Cool. Yeah, I'm gonna run this out so that she'll have enough time to. She won't be cutting into her break earlier. If she goes to break, that girl. Man, last week. Yeah.
That's funny. Alrighty.
All right. Let me get over there here in a few minutes. Let's see what I got.
Cool.
Bring that up so I can get that going. How much time we got, Jack, left? Not much.
Not much. It's almost 7:57.
Oh, it's just me and you. So yeah, we can go the full distance and longer when it's just the two of us.
That's funny.
Yeah, that's just how it is. It's not a, if David would have joined, we would have got cut off by now.
Oh, weird.
If it's three or more, that's how the groups work. If it's just two, you don't get timed for some reason.
Huh. I wonder what their logic was for that.
Well, probably congestion.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyways, I'll see you over with Nance. All right?
Sounds good. All right.
All right.
Later on.
All right. Bye. All right. That's Jack Carey, and here comes, that's right, the VIXEN'S Vault. Legion of Chaos, folks. Let's see if I can even get in here. Yes, admit Jason Quigley. MC Dirty Work. Hey, MC, how's it going?
Hey, what's happening, brother?
Not much. Good to have you. Let me get the
you.
rest of the crew in here tonight with us.
Right.
I think Jack's going to come in for just a short time, just in case. I seen that, what was it? Vicky's not feeling well again, right? Or something like that. I just caught part of that.
Hope she gets well soon.
Me too. Me too.
Hey, Roger.
Roger.
Guys, how you doing?
Can't hear you, buddy.
Yeah, I know. It's got to get my microphone down.
Trying to get Nance and Mark Edworthy in here, and Sonia may join us. She's green. Oh, good.
He's getting excited.
Maybe she'll sell us some T-shirts.
You want them
about Sonia.
Hey.
Hello.
Hello, Nancy.
Hi, Nancy.
Hello, my darlings.
Hello. Where's Mark
Hey.
Edworthy?
Hey, Nancy.
Where's
Hey,
Mark
Jason.
Edworthy?
He's probably hiding.
Oh my.
If he was reading what I was dropping in the chat about AI all week, you know how he thinks.
Yeah.
You know he Yeah. He's yeah.
30
That or
seconds, Nance.
Yeah.
30
That or
seconds, Nance.
information compiling so he can battle me.
Uh-oh.
He's also in a battle with me too because we're doing political history and
Oh, my God.
he
He dropped out.
doesn't
Oh,
like it.
my. I'll try to get him back here in a sec after I get you going, because your countdown's
I
coming
thought I
like
heard.
right now. Hey, Mark, how's it
There
going?
he is.
Here's your countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And you are live and on the radio side right now.
Good evening, everyone. August 6th, 2025. It is 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'd like to welcome everybody to the Vixen's Vault. I am your hostess, the Wiccan Vixen, Nancy Planetta. And if you say placenta, I'm going to have to smack the snot out of you because, again, it happened to me again this week, folks. How many times have we talked about this on the air? My name is incredibly phonetic. It's Planet with an A. Like, literally, just think planet with an orbiting satellite. A. But no. Once again, somebody said, oh, your last name's Placenta? How unpleasant is that? I'm like, it's not, but it's really unpleasant when people say that. Yes. Welcome to the show, everybody. I hope you're okay, Roger. I can hear you. I can
Okay.
hear you. Just muffle it. Muffle it.
Okay.
Welcome in, everybody. It's been kind of a crazy little week, don't you think? Don't y'all think it's been a little bit kind of weird? A lot of hype kicked into the whole, object interstellar moving quickly in our direction that all of a sudden they're all hitting their foot on the brake and saying, oh, we don't think it's natural. Really? What timing you guys have? And, like I pointed out last week, Roger, yeah, holy blue beam event, Batman. I mean, how much more obviously could you possibly set the public up to pull a blue beam event? I mean, we're just going to tell you that there's something of alien technology heading in our direction. And the saddest part about it is it's probably, if it is an object, actually an intelligent object moving in this direction at at interstellar pace, I'm going to say this very, very clearly. It's most likely ours. Just gotta put that out there. For multiple decades, there have been rumors about Solar Warden. There have been blueprints posted in regards to Solar Warden. There have been spottings of Solar Warden vessels. And again, yeah, it could all be just a little figment of our imaginations, but as we're finding out, technologies I told you 20 years ago that we already had, suddenly they're surfacing now today. And we're starting to see them being used. Nanotechnology. I've said it 2.5 decades ago that we had nanotechnology then. Why? Because they made a damn television show out of it. Stargate Atlantis. Never forget it. They introduced the little nanobots. The little nanobots. And I'm like, oh, look at that. How creative. Yeah, I don't think writers are really that creative anymore because at that point in time, they were starting to repeat scripts. Pretty sure they're not that creative. If they're writing about stuff like that and they're putting it on TV, it's what we call a soft sell. They're preparing the population for things that are already in existence and being used and most likely about to be outdated. Because, see, they get released to the general public when the government no longer needs it. Because they have updated their technology. So, again, I know I sound like a broken record when I say these things to you guys. But start going back and think about the shows you watched. Battlestar Galactica. I mean, Stargate. Star Trek even. Think about the shows you watched when you were younger. And think about all the technologies we have right now that literally mimic. And you can say, well, we created those technologies based on the shows. No, and no. No, and no. It's just not how it works, folks. Not how it works. So, tonight, yeah, I'm done with that rant. Rant over. Done with that rant. I get so annoyed because really people, I don't know what it's going to take to get people to wake the hell up. I just don't understand it. I mean, I get it with the general population. Most people in the general population, they keep you so chaotic, so stressed every day of the week that, yeah, you really don't have time to kind of hit the brake and say, well, wait, those clouds don't look right. I don't ever remember clouds looking like that before. Gee, that looks like a bunch of sound waves moving across the sky. No, most people don't do that. People like me do that. I look up all the time and say, gee, that doesn't look right. I've lived in Florida for, I don't know. Let's see, better part of 40 some odd years. And yep, never ever seen clouds that look like that. In fact, I can remember back in the late 90s, I actually saw the aurora borealis. It was, never forget it. And I'm like looking at it and I'm talking to my dad and I'm saying, my dad, again, multiple degreed engineer. I'm like, that can't be. Maybe it's sun devils. I mean, I was trying to explain it away and it wasn't. It was literally the aurora. And they never wrote about it. I think there was one little article in the Tampa Bay Times about it. And again, because they don't want things. They don't want you talking about it. They don't want you questioning, hey, how did that happen? I don't remember a solar flare hitting us. So how did that happen? And it kind of ties into something I dropped into the chat for my illustrious panel to kind of go over. One of the things I had dropped in there was a friend of mine who goes by the name Alaska Skywalker. It's a lot of really, really great information out, but it's a lot of stuff I've been saying for decades. And he was talking about the weapons that we have that utilize EMF and how capable they are of causing mass destruction. Forget water or weather-based destruction. We're talking seismic destruction. We're talking he literally put a piece together that was so well written. I posted it in the main chat. I was just like, that was phenomenal. I mean, he's basically showing you how they've damaged our magnetosphere to the point where, yeah, we get belted with an M-class flare. Direct hit, we're in trouble. Why? Well, not because you're going to cook. And I think you guys have heard me say that multiple times. I'm not into the whole Kentucky Fried Chicken theory. No, that is not me. No. But we are animals. We do have magnetite in our brain. We are affected by ions. We're affected by radiation. We're affected by electromagnetic frequency. And we are affected by low frequencies, ELFs, extreme low frequency. All of these things have pretty damaging effects on humans. If you really want to stop and research it for a moment, you're going to find there's all sorts of really pretty terrible things that our bodies go through, and more specifically, our brains go through when we're exposed to these things. And here we are. And they're panicking. You know, in fact, Mark, you'll probably remember I did a whole show at one point about the hole down near Antarctica, the hole in the magnetosphere down near Antarctica, which those of us who look into conspiracies, into the unexplained, there we go. There's a great word for it. Unexplained, and we're going to do air quotes around that. We've known about that hole, for about 30 years now. No joke. And we knew that it moved. We knew that it didn't stay stationary in one position. And we also knew that there is no flight traffic allowed. When that hole, wherever it is, they literally put up bans. Like, planes cannot fly through that area. Why? Because they're exposed to radiation when they do. Too much radiation, very, very high levels of radiation. So they have literally had these little things, at least 3 decades that I'm aware of. It's been going on. And the hole had, and it's funny because I think I did a show back in 2011, maybe 2010, kind of calling that out, saying, guys, that hole is growing. It's getting bigger. And that's not the ozone. That's the magnetosphere, which is, slightly different and a bigger problem. And funny how it's like right near Antarctica. You know, that one place that nobody likes to talk about, Antarctica. the place where we have all these satellite images, because they didn't realize that with Google Earth, people were really able to zoom in on certain areas, and a lot of people like me were zooming in on Antarctica. Wonder why. And yeah, there were things that were found that there's no explanation for. And some of those things, I mean, I think I still actually have a picture I saved. I know I have the coordinates on my Google Earth, but it's literally, it looks like submarines parked in the middle of the ice, but actually whatever it is much larger than a submarine, because I had to take into consideration that the satellite was, at least 10 to 20,000 feet up. And so, yeah, if it looked like submarines, when I pulled it into a zoom at a certain level, it was probably a massive structure. And what looked like entries into like subterranean, I couldn't have drawn that. That's not something that could have been tied in. This was like back in 2009, 2010, when Google Earth was kind of new, before they figured out how to blur it. Which you notice started happening. It was kind of like the live feed from NASA after pointed out that I think live, Don Ecker pointed out on live TV that there was some problems with some of the feed coming from the space station, and you could actually see objects we could not identify in the feed.
Yep, all Don Ecker's fault. Yep, I blame him.
It was all. I just talked to him last week too. He's such a pistol. He's still a pistol to this day. But I mean, literally, now NASA is delayed by 30 seconds on their feeds. Wonder why? Oh, because they don't like answering questions. They don't like talking about the Black Knight. They don't like talking about anything they can't explain to a rational person's sensibilities. We'll put it that way. They can explain it off to somebody who's really not interested, or somebody who's ready to just take whatever answer they're going to give them, which is about pretty much